Welcome back everyone to the Hello World Guy, and this is the continuation of the Raycasting series, and today we are going to actually start by fixing a little bit of a problem with our collision detection code. So to show you the problem, I'm going to go ahead and run make right now. You can see that the collision detection in the game does work and it seems kind of alright. However, there is a very serious problem with this, the way we are doing it right now. So I'm going to open up player.cpp and I'm going to change the player half size to something like 0.45. By the way, before we actually continue, I have changed the player's draw function a bit to kind of make it so that the player actually draws correctly in 2D mode, and I have also gone under main.cpp and I've added a way basically to view the game in 2D mode within the actual game world. So we have got a view 2D here, which you can flip by using tab, and if that view 2D is set, then we don't use the renderer's draw 3D view function. Instead we just draw the map and the player, and for the actual view of the window we set it to the player's position so that we have got everything here correctly. And basically it's nothing like too complicated or hard to understand, just basic stuff here. So I'm going to run make just so that we can actually see what the problem is. So if I go ahead and press tab, you can see I get into this 2D view, and what you should be able to see is that I can go down here and you'll begin to see the problem very soon. So I am here right now, you can see that I'm here and it's kind of working, and I'm going to move a little bit down, and now you can see that what I can do is I can go ahead and move through these walls without any issue. You can see that I'm just basically moving through these walls. So I can go here, you can see the collision is not registering at all. So it's completely incorrect. You can see the collision is incorrect here as well, and this happens with a larger size. And what is actually happening, so if you try to analyze this, you can see that if I'm sliding down this wall, that's going correctly, and as soon as my origin leaves this box, it starts to go through this wall. And the reason behind that is very obvious, since for example, when we are checking for the x-axis, if I go ahead and see how we are doing this, you can see that when checking for the x-axis, we keep our y constant at the current y position of the player, and if the player's y position is in the next grid cell and the player actually spans more than one grid cell, so if it happens that the player is in 2 grid cells at the same time, then the collision will not be registered correctly, because we are only checking the one in which the origin of the player is. So since the player is an AABB, we need to check the whole grid cell for this to work. Alright, so in order to fix this problem, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add a boolean here, called checkMapCollision. This is a function that returns a boolean inside of player. This is going to be a private function which we are going to use for a utility. It just takes a map as an argument along with the new position that we are checking the collision at, along with a bool representing whether we are checking the collision for the x or the y axis. So if I go under player.cpp, inside of the update function, it's almost exactly the same, and the only thing that has changed here, you can see, is that we, instead of using map.getMapCell, we are using the checkMapCollision function. For the x-axis we are passing true, and for the y-axis we are passing false, and we are just passing the new position like we were earlier. So the only thing that's changed is inside of this function. So now let's go ahead and try to understand this. So first of all, we calculate the size of the player, and then we calculate the end and the start of the actual grid for the player. So we get the size of the player with the player half size. By the way, I renamed this to half size because it's not the full size, it's the half size of the player. And for the start, since the origin represents the center of the player, for the start we just subtract the size from the position, and for the end we add the size to the position. And then we cast these to vector to of integers instead, so that we can basically use these with maps. So these are now map coordinates, integer map coordinates, the actual grid cells that we need to check. So you can see basically we have got an if statement here checking. If we are checking the x-axis, then we run a loop on the y. So the idea is that if I go ahead and run make, you can see that we have got our player here. So whenever we are checking the collision, what we'll do is we'll start at the top and we will we'll go to the end. So this will be the start position, this will be the end position. When we convert this into like map coordinates, this is going to be our starting cell and this is going to be our ending cell. Or if we are moving at the x-axis, we will be moving forward, and this will be our starting and ending cell. And what will happen is that we will just go ahead and check against these. So we will go ahead and go to this one. So we will check against the first starting x-axis y-axis position, then we'll check against the ending y-axis position. And of course we if the player is much larger, we will check against all of the positions in between as well, which will make sure that even if the player size is larger, it will check all of the correct ones. And when we are moving on the x-axis, we only need to check this on the y-axis, and when we are moving we are checking for collision on the y-axis, we need to run a loop for the x-axis. So we basically run it int y, we set it to start.y, and we keep running until it's less than or equal to end.y, and in the end we just go ahead and get the map cell, and if it is true then we return true, otherwise we just keep going and in the end we return false. And for the y-axis, checking if we are on the y-axis, we just run the loop, but this time we use x instead of y. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's going to kind of take care of the whole map collision problem for us. And now if I go ahead and run make, you can see that even if we have got like a larger thing here, it still doesn't cause any problems, and we can slide on the walls and the collision registers correctly. So anyways guys, this is going to be pretty much it for this video. Just a quick fix that I wanted to get clear here in this video, and I'll see you in action, in which we are going to actually start adding stuff to this Raycaster and improving it, and fixing a couple of other issues as well in the rendering, and improving the player's movement and a bunch of other stuff. So stay tuned for that. Make sure to like and subscribe as well, and share this video with other people, and I'll see you in the next one. And